Hey, shalom, shalom. First and foremost, I want to give all praises, honor, and glory that's due to Yahweh, Ba'ashem Yahushai, Ba'ashem Rakakwadash. Double honors to the apostles and elders of Great Millstone, who all learned this truth from and who do well. Peace and salutations to the 144,000, the rest of the elect, until I say shalom. Coming to you back with another lesson through the Spirit, and I'm entitled this one, We're Measuring the Times Through the Scriptures. Because the only way that you're going to know of what's truly going on around the world, from all these geopolitics, natural disasters, people losing their minds, why the economy is collapsing, and everything that's going around the world, because ultimately it's all prophecy. It's all the will of the Heavenly Father playing out throughout the four corners of the earth, because you have a lot of people bugging out from these so-called Christians, these Israelites that know that they're Israelites, these heathens, so-called white people, these Edomites. But yet, you even got these Edomites that are kind of tying the scriptures, to the current events, but they don't have the full understanding, because Yahweh Ba'ashem Shai did say he was going to pour out his spirit upon all flesh, which ultimately means not just the prophets are going to get the visions and the breakdowns. You have a lot of people having dreams of America being destroyed. You have people having dreams of the MOTB being the microchip. You have people having visions of Yahweh Shai coming back in the fathership. And these are all signs that we're at the end of this current kingdom. But ultimately, only the prophets, the true prophets of Yahweh Ba'ashem Shai, that have been given the Holy Spirit, are going to understand and tie through the scriptures, because you have a lot of people that may see what's going on, but they're not really tying it to the scriptures. So ultimately, the only ones who are going to be doing that and pushing out the prophecy to the elect, because really those are the only ones who are going to understand the visions. Like it says in Habakkuk chapter 2, is going to be playing up on tables to the elect. But to the rest of these people, they may kind of have an understanding that, damn, this is biblical prophecy playing out, but they don't really understand how it ends. This is 2nd Ezra chapter 9 and verse 1. And it reads, He answered me then and said, Measure thou the time diligently in itself. And when thou seest part of the signs past, which I have told thee before, verse 2, then shalt thou understand that it is the very same time wherein the highest will begin to visit the world which he made. And it's clear and evident that Yahweh Ba'ashem Shai is visiting the earth by the means of these different plagues. You got earthquakes in diverse places. You got people bugging out, going against each other, people getting laid off left and right. It's all biblical prophecy, because really what is leading to is the collapse of this economy, the collapse of this current society, which is going to lead to all hell breaking loose. And people are going to want that peace and safety back. And Esau, even the so-called white man, he's going to offer it to them. He's going to be like, okay, you want peace and safety, you want a form of normalcy back, here you got to take this microchip. And that's what majority of the world is going to do. They're going to fold, because they're so used to this America, Babylon the Great. This is all they know. Whenever you tell our people that the kingdom of heaven is right around the corner, they bug out. They're like, nah, I want to stay in America forever. But that's ultimately why majority of our people up on the planet Earth, the Israelites, the so-called Negroes, Latinos, and Native Americans, they're not going to make it. Only the elect are going to make it. Verse 3, therefore, when there shall be seen earthquakes and uproars of the people in the world. Verse 4, then shalt thou well understand that it is that the Most High spake of those things from the days that were before thee, even from the beginning. And all these things that are happening up on the planet Earth, all the current events, World War III, Jacob's trouble, martial law, hell breaking loose, the collapse of this economy, it's all been written thousands of years before. But now it's playing out, because now we're at the last days, like it says in Habakkuk chapter 2, at though it tarry, wait for it. And get it real quick. This is Habakkuk chapter 2 and verse 3. For the vision is yet for an appointed time, but at the end it shall speak and not lie. Though it tarry, wait for it, because it will surely come. It will not tarry. An appointed time of all these different prophecies that are left, because you only have a couple major prophecies left to play out. The mass implementation of the MOTB, the collapse of the dollar, which is going to lead to America going to war with all these different nations, which is going to lead to the nuclear destruction of America. Because once that MOTB gets made mandatory throughout the world, that's when Yahushua is going to have to return and to deliver his elect. The Lord willing to be a part of that number. And along with that, to destroy America, utterly destroy this place by the way of the intercontinental ballistic missiles, and also to bring Esau, even the so-called white man, down from his rulership position. But the only ones who are going to be in the know and be like, okay, the time of these prophecies is right around the corner, because you have a lot of Israelites bugging the hell out, claiming that we have another 1,000 years, 500 years left in America, which that's not the case. This place is about out of here. It's done. America's done. It's through. It's not going to be healed. Jump back to that second Ezra chapter 9 and verse 5. For like as all that is made in the world had a beginning and an end, and the end is manifest. And that's what's happening. The end of this current kingdom is being made manifested, and the only ones who are going to be tying it to biblical prophecy are going to be the true prophets of Yahweh Bashim Yahushai. Because you have these Edomites, these so-called white people, and all these different heathen nations. You even have our own people that aren't in the truth. They're having visions, but ultimately it's all Yahweh Bashim Yahushai's will that's playing out throughout the four corners of the earth, because the Lord, he's making it evident to the whole world that, this current kingdom, it's on its way out. And ultimately the only ones who are going to be in the know are going to be the prophets of Yahweh Bashim Yahushai, and the believers, those who are redeeming the times. And I could get that real quick. This is Ephesians chapter 5 and verse 15. See then that you walk circumspectly, not as fools, but as wise. Verse 16, redeeming the time, because the days are evil. And how are you redeeming the time? Buying back the time that we lost when we're in a world, completely void of understanding, of wisdom, fear of the Lord. It is by doing what Yahweh Bashim Yahushai commanded us to do, to go out there and prophesy on the highways and byways, to put up these electronic epistles, to go out there, and show charity towards the brotherhood, to keep the law, statutes, commandments to the best of our ability, study, pray, fast. Because the majority of the world, they're not doing that. They're not moving like we're in the last days of the last days. Majority of our people, they're in that flood behavior. And ultimately that's why they're going to be taken, because they're not watching. They're not moving circus play. They're moving like everything's okay. Like all hell is not breaking loose, because ultimately they're not doing what Yahweh Bashim Yahushai commanded them to do. Majority of our people, they see the wickedness that goes on around the world, but they're like, oh man, that's normal. It don't mean nothing. This is Matthew chapter 24 and verse 37. But as the days of Noah were, which is Noah, so shall also the coming of the Son of Man be. Verse 38, for as in the days that were before the flood, they were eating and drinking, marrying and giving in marriage, until the day that Noah entered the ark. And that's the spirit that majority of the world is in. Because you even have these Edomites, doomsday preppers. Shit, they know what's about to happen. They know that the society's through. But they're building these bunkers, stocking up on, canned goods, water, ammo, gold and silver, thinking that we're going to rise up out of ashes. But what they don't understand is that this is it. This is as far as it goes for this Edomite rulership. And ultimately the ones who are next up to be ruling up on the planet Earth is going to be the nation of Israel. But it's going to start with the elect, the 144,000, the rest of that large multitude. And that's why majority of our people, they're not going to make it because they're in this flood behavior. They're too worried about the bread and circus, distractions, going to work, paying taxes, keeping their boo thing happy, their wife, happy wife, happy life. But ultimately, all this is about to be done away with. Read verse 39, and knew not until the flood came and took them all away, so shall also the coming of the Son of Man be. And that's how it's going to happen. It's going to happen unexpectedly. Majority of the people, they're going to wake up one day, thinking that everything's okay, and then boom, all hell breaking loose. They're going to try to access their bank account, if there's power, if they don't shut down the grid, and their bank accounts are going to say zero, and people are going to be bugging the hell out, begging for a solution. You're going to have riot wars, civil wars, but these are the times we're coming into. And the only ones who are going to be aware are going to be the elect of the nation of Israel, us are the hopeful elect. This is 1 Thessalonians chapter 5 and verse 1. But of the times and the seasons, brethren, ye have no need that I write unto you. And that's right. Who are the brethren? The hopeful elect, those that are in the know, who are tying the current events, to the biblical prophecy, understanding, okay, you got the U.S., messing with all these countries. You got Israel, poking all these different countries. The least of the flock shall draw them out. And that's what's happening. This is all leading to that major third world war that's going to lead to the destruction of America. Verse 2, for yourselves know perfectly that the day of the Lord so cometh as a thief in the night. And that's how it's going to happen, because majority of our people, they're not watching out. They're not on that watchtower, and even if you got these Israelites and know that they're Israelites, they're not on their watchtower either. They're not blowing that trumpet. They're not telling their congregation, danger is coming, hide under the shadow of the Almighty Yahweh Bashim Al Shai, go into that strong tower. That's why it's going to hit them so hard, because they're not watching. They're going to get blindsided by prophecy. Verse 3, for when they shall say peace and safety, then sudden destruction cometh upon them as travail upon a woman with a child, and they shall not escape. And that's what's happening right now. Peace and safety, everything's good. People about to celebrate the holidays, traveling to go with their families, Christmas, New Year's, Thanksgiving, all these different holidays that people kind of so accustomed to celebrate that during this time, they forget about all the current events going on. But here you got war going around throughout the four corners of the earth, especially over there in the Middle East, Russia, Ukraine, Iran, Israel. But yet you have people here in Babylon, the great America, ready to celebrate Christmas. Like everything is groovy. Like the economy's not collapsing. Like people aren't getting laid off, sleeping in their cars. Some people sleeping in the streets. But that's why it's going to hit these Babylonians, Americans so hard, because they're so used to just chilling and kicking back, thinking that nothing's happening around the world. This is verse 4. But ye, brethren, are not in darkness, that day shall overtake you as a thief. And who are the ones who aren't in darkness, that have been given the light, that have been given away back to the Heavenly Father through his only begotten Son, Yahweh Shai, are going to be the elect. Because the rest of our people, they're in gross darkness. They don't know what the hell is going on. They don't know that they're, about to get, put to death when Edom comes down like a great flood. Verse 5, but ye are all children of the light and the children of the day. We are not of the night nor of darkness. Verse 6, therefore let us not sleep as do others, but let us watch and be sober. Going back to measuring the times diligently, watching out. Okay, we just seeing what happened. Okay, that's tying to this prophecy. Shit, we're about to get out of here ultimately. But only the true elect prophets of Yahweh Bashim Al Shai, us are the hopeful elect, through the spirit and power of Yahweh Bashim Al Shai, we have the ability to do that. While the rest of the world, they're bugging the hell out, losing their damn minds because they can't celebrate Christmas because they don't got enough money to buy presents and gifts. But here, you're about to get starved out, these wicked ass people. But yet they're not moving like that's about to happen. They're thinking that it's going to be a rough time and it's going to blow away. But no, this is the end of this current kingdom. This is the end of Esau, Edom. This is the end of all this Christmas holiday spirit. it is evident that this is the end, because you see, as you drive around the city, around, the town, people aren't putting up them damn Christmas lights as they used to. Shit, they not. They don't even have money to spend, money on groceries. What makes you think they're going to have money to spend on having them damn lights on all day and night? It's just madness. That's why this place has to be destroyed. But the time of America ruling upon the planet Earth, the time of Esau, Edom ruling upon the planet Earth is about up. And what's next is the nation of Israel ruling upon the planet Earth, starting with Yahushua, the 12, the rest of the 144,000, the rest of the large multitude. That's going to be the governing body. But, we know that these major prophecies that are left have to play out, but, that we know that it is almost here because of the spirit and power of Yahweh Bashim Yahushua that's allowing us to understand, okay, we're about to get out of here, but that's pretty much the point. I pray this is edifying to the elect. I want to give all praises, honor, and glory that's due to Yahweh, Bashim Yahushua, Bashim Rakakwadash, who I learned this truth from and who do well. Peace and salutations to the 144,000, the rest of the elect. Until you, I say shalom.